And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for a big old thick showdown between the Greenskins, who shall be led by Grom the PAUNCH. And today, my friends, he faces off against Morker the Shadow Cave and King of the Dead. So certainly going to be a very ferocious matchup. As far as the build goes, it's going to be a monster mash. So front line is going to be a combination of the Savage Orc Biggins mixed with some poor goblins who don't really have too much support. But, well, I guess you could call that Rogue Idol some support. He's like the big brother, kind of hanging out and protecting those little gobbos, although he'll probably abandon them at the first sight of a more tasty treat. So it's going to be goblins, Savage Orc Biggins in the front line, and in the back we do actually have a couple Air Boys as well. Air Boys pretty good against Minotaurs and Spawn, and to be honest, that's kind of what I was expecting. Most Beastmen players in this matchup will come in with Spawn rushes and Minotaurs, and that's why I have Savage Orc Biggins and Archers to really bring them down. On top of that, Beastmen do struggle with big monsters like the Rogue Idol as well as the Arachnoid Queen, so having those monsters there can be a really, really big threat. And Grom the PAUNCH is just super good. He's very tough to snipe. He can deal with most of the Beastmen, infantry like Bestigors, Ungors, you name it, and also isn't bad at fending off like Centaurs and other harass pieces. So see how this unfolds. Our caster is going to be a giant River Troll Hag coming in with the Spirit Leech and the leadership debuffing effects aspect of the Dread Knight and Doom and Darkness. Now for the Forces of King, a very unorthodox build for sure. He's got Centaurs, he's got Poison Hounds, and actually a whole front line of Bestigors. I really wasn't expecting this. Almost every Beastman player and their dog and third cousin likes to bring Spawn rushes, like I said. So you'll basically see Minotaurs and Spawn mixed in with Ungors, and I'm very, very practiced against that, but a triple Bestigor with a giant build, certainly catching me off guard here, but fear not, the Rogue Idol comes for blood. Over here on the far side, you can see the good old Goblin Forest Rider dudes are going to be getting Degradances here, and should be able to outtrade here against these Centaurs. We drag down a couple. The Hounds also take some casualties, so that's actually a good initial start for us, getting some decent damage against some Beastmen skirmish. But again, the really hard part is going to be actually the Bestigors will trade very effectively against Savage Orc Biggins. Obviously the armor and their charge bonus. The Savage Orc Biggins will put a dent in them, and the trade is relatively even, but Bestigors, I believe, do barely edge it out because of their very, very juicy armor values. So that's going to be an interesting one, guys. Certainly very unorthodox indeed, but we do have the Archers, so the Beastmen are going to have to come to us. We don't have too much to protect our flanks. We have two groups of Forest Goblin Spider Riders, which of course are a very good roadblock unit. They have poison, and for their cost, they have relatively decent melee defense, but really their best defensive capability is the poison. But he also has Archers as well. I forgot that. He does have the Ungor Raider, so we are forced to scoot forward here. So the Spider and the Rogue Idol are going to be advancing, and it looks like he is going after the Rogue Idol. I mean, it's kind of a weight of dice type thing. It's like if you're playing 40k, you can bring down a knight using a million guardsmen. It'll get there eventually. So here I do this on purpose. I send in Grom the PAUNCH, and I'm not actually joking. I do this on purpose, because Grom the PAUNCH takes like 20 minutes to kill, especially with Lucky Banner. So to kind of minimize his aggressiveness, I send in Grom the PAUNCH, who's getting good damage and also is barely taking any damage himself. In the meantime, the Rogue Idol's going to be slapping here, and sometimes Rogue Idols get that very awkward animation where they like attack the unit on the edge and they don't maximize their splash damage, but he is attacking the Bestigors here, so hopefully he'll be able to do the Atomic Clap, and he does, and you can see the Bestigors are certainly getting worn down. In the meantime, the Spider is going to be fighting on the flank, with the Spider Riders able to tear out off some of the Hounds, and here we use our Spider Riders to block this charge as well with some Goblins. So we've been able to defend most of our flanks pretty well, and like I said, Grom the PAUNCH is more than happy to do this. I barely took, 20% of my HP from all these units attacking me, although it did cost me the Lucky Banner, but here comes the Rogue Idol clapping again, but King does have a Giant, and a Giant actually, believe it or not, guys, I actually did some testing. The Giant does beat the Rogue Idol handedly in combat. The Giant will have about 30 or 40% HP left, and the Rogue Idol will just be 100% dead. So it's a very, very good countermeasure. I really wasn't expecting that Giant there. So we're going to have to get our Archers and or the Giant Arachnoid Queen to really take down that Giant as this battle does progress. Here, the Spider Rider's still holding, and this is what I'm talking about. For the cost, they hold so well. Centaur's really being fended off, but a really good magic usage by King there. He's able to blast my Goblins and the Archers as well. I believe that was like a Vile Tide or something. Very, very nice stuff. And Grom the PAUNCH is able to escape, baiting out a Spawn Summon. And he should be fine. Aspect of the Dread Knight on him as well, mainly for leadership purposes, so he doesn't break. But the battle is close, certainly getting some decent engagements here, but many of my infantry, the Savage Orc Biggins, were counterplayed very, very well by the Bestigors, and it really is definitely changing my paradigm on this matchup, because I, for the longest time, figured that it's always going to be Spawn and Minotaurs, but King coming in with triple Bestigor Giant, very, very masterful play for sure. Now, I am behind on the bounce power, but that's normal. It's to be expected. The bounce power is actually pretty even right now because he does have double Spawn Summon on the battlefield, but once they disappear, I need to just endure this without taking too much damage. The Arachnoid Queen going to be waddling over, trying to get away from the spawn, leaving some hatchlings to kind of do the dirty work. So what I figure now is I get my characters, I get my Spider back here, and I try and kind of regroup and tear out off some of these units. One spawn has disappeared, but unfortunately the Giant's just chasing my Rogue Idol. I'm trying to run. It's kind of janky because the Rogue Idol's super slow, especially with poison, but I'm just trying to get away from the Giant, and it is succeeding to an extent. You can see the Giant is sitting here and not getting the proper engagements, and the Rogue Idol, though, probably should have been attacking at this point, but here comes the Atomic Pimp Slap, able to take out some of those Ungor Spearman herds, certainly doing some solid damage there, but But that is going to be a tough one, guys. I am falling behind on the bounce of power here. Grom the Paunch going to be going for some character gooning, which whenever you're behind in the game, just look for some free characters where you can. And sometimes if they don't have SEMs and you do, you can get those juicy games back. I have some Savage Orc Carrier Boys. I do have my Giant Ritual Hag coming back, and you'll notice the bounce of power does start to creep back towards the middle. Grom the Paunch able to fend off those Warhounds, and now he's looking at you, Bray Shaman. Will be coming over there on his chariot, and also remember I do have a couple summons left on the Arachnaut Queen, so the summons could be a great buffer to try and terror out off some of these units. Vestigors are still online, 2 of them still fighting in terms of being functionally healthy. Ungor Raiders have a ton of ammo left, which is one of my big issues actually. The Ungor Raiders, with this much ammunition, could actually bring down the Arachnaut Queen, so I need to find some way to get in that back line. We have some Savage Orcs coming in, but the Giant just whomping on the Rogue Idol. I could have maybe just fought back against the Giant, but with all the Vestigors and support he had there in the Raider fire, it just felt like a very, very big losing situation. So here we go, Arachnaut Queens, the Great Uns is here. It's going to be getting some Grom the Paunch buffs, give some leadership and base damage, and you can see they're actually in a bit of a mass exodus. All the chaff units are forced off by an aspect of the Dread Knight going down on top of the terror out from the Spider, so we are able to buckle them off, and we do kind of stabilize there in that moment, but there's Hounds coming in. The Raiders are, like I said, are a huge problem. Pretty good against Ritual Hag also, too, who has 50 armor and is very, very vulnerable to missile play, so the Ritual Hag is not liking this at all. We have some Savage Orc Air Boys in the back still shooting, getting in there, doing what they can, and the big old Spider is going to be waddling downhill, going after Morker the Shadow Cave. So here he comes with his good old Pimp Cane. And there he goes, Giant Ritual Hag running for the hills. We'll see. She might be able to get up there with that sack of meat, beat down some of those wolves. So I'm basically just falling back at this point, trying to rally, get my forces where I can fend off the advance, because a lot of his army's over here, so I figure, hey, let's kind of keep kiting, trying to terror out things, and maybe in that time, Grom the Paunch can get some kills, take out some of these valuable characters, and he has been doing well against the Bray Shaman. He's gotten a little bit of HP damage, so Grom's certainly not useless. He's trying his heart out, and the big old Spider here just summoning spiders and falling back, and pretty much rinsing and repeating, because though the Spider is decent against Giants, with this health pool and the Giant being full health, and yeah, there's no way that the Arachnaut Queen is going to win that, so she's in very, very dire straits here. Grom the Paunch able to break off those Hounds and getting some good work, and the Rogue Idol's coming back in. The glorious Rogue Idol, but well, not so glorious. She shattered due to army losses, and that's going to be all she wrote. So well played to King. It just goes to show, man, you got to innovate your builds and be... My build was very designed to just beat Minotaur rushes, because basically the Savage Orc Biggins stacked with the monsters can defeat them in a blob, but against his build with Bestigors, the Bestigors beat my Savage Orc Biggins. The Raiders are really good there, and the Giant beats my Rogue Idol. So it was a really well thought out build by King, and it just goes to show, man, creativity pays. And yeah, so on that note, we'll go back to the drawing board. We'll come up with some schemes. And again, hopefully you guys enjoyed this Greenskin versus Beastmen showdown. And Grom the Paunch got a lot of kills there. Look at that. 117 here, 118. Certainly not bad. So let's go ahead and scheme a little bit. So what is something we could do that would beat both Giant builds, like a Giant kind of hard infantry build, but would also perform well against the Spawn Rush? That is really the question. I still think Grom the Paunch is the best choice. He's just such a terror in the night. He's so hard to snipe and does so much damage. Bob might be okay. Like, I'm feeling like Bob and Trolls might have some... Bob is just so powerful as is, right? Like, he can really bully the characters, too. So we don't need those so much. The Brass Cleaver is quite good. So maybe we'll go with a Bob build. Oh, man, I really do like the Savage Orc Biggins, though. I feel like they're so solid. Maybe if their Savage Orc Biggins are saturated with some Trolls, they could be better. Because, like, even if they go with Bestigors, Bestigors will die to Trolls. And then the Savage Orc Biggins will beat the Spawn and Minotaur rushes. I think we're onto something here. And then Bob is giving them immune to Psych. You don't really need Stone Trolls here. I feel like that's overkill. The magic resist and missile resist is nice, but, Beastmen are mostly lightly armor. Yeah, I don't know. I think this is a little bit better. So we need some battlefield control, too. I think the Spider Riders are good. One monster I think is nice. It's always good against them, so we come in with, like, the Arachnaut Queen only. And now we need something that can really, really deal with the... Yeah, the Hounds are coming in pretty hot, but the Hounds aren't going to have too many good engagements here against us. We could go with, like, Swamp Fangs, too, because they do give the terror out, which is really nice. But Bestigors are immune to Psych while their Frenzy's active, so... I mean, do we just cut Bob? The immune to Psych on the Trolls is nice. I mean, what terror out do the Beastmen have, aside from Butchers of Kalkengard? Bob is so expensive, but if we cut Bob, we can open up and get a little bit more kind of utility. I do like the Savage Orc Air Boys. I think 2 of them. I think we just need to be more well-equipped to defend them, and our front line with this build is much more powerful. As far as the caster goes, River Troll Hag I think is good. The slow is just super strong. And in that game, I actually forgot to bring the slow. I just misclicked, so I didn't have it that entire game. So we cut Swamp Breath. We can keep those. We need to kind of fine-tune a little bit. Could cut you. Get 2 goblins. On the periphery, Language of the Boys and the Biggins is here, both really good. Spirit Leech and Buna are what I want. God, I hate being 1 gold short. We might have to cut one of these guys, though, and just go with, like, regular Orc Air Boys. So, okay. So we have the Savage Orc Air Boys. and the Air Boys to bring down the Giant. We also have the Arachnaut Queen to help with that and Spirit Leech. We should be good against Spawn Rushes with the Troll Toll. I like this build. Yeah, it's good. It's good. I think you could do the trick. Anyways, worth a shot, guys. I'll try it next time. Hopefully you enjoyed this matchup. And other than that, man, you guys stay safe, and we'll see you next time.